Welcome to the Up Level Men podcast. And we're here with three special guests, starting with Masha from Ria Experience. Masha hosts those ecstatic dances that help people go and experience their deepest self and have fun and enjoy and connect with each other. And yeah, so good to have you here. Now, back to the second guest of the podcast is Shani from Coco Conscious Co-Creators, helping facilitators step into service. And Mariana, a missionary on her path, helping women tap into their feminine energy and heal from experiences that they had to go through. And also, by the way, building an eco village.
Oh, yeah.
That's like wow. So we're here today talking about masculine and feminine dynamics, masculine and feminine energies. And as we're going and discussing these things, the first thing that we're going to be talking about here is to define the plane of this whole aspect of it. What is masculine and what is feminine energy? Starting with Shani.
Wow, thank you for inviting me here, first of all. Appreciate it. And I feel like for me, masculine and feminine energy is kind of two sides of the same coin. And it is an energy that we all have in abundance. So it comes in many forms. It's either like, as we've seen it, like action or like relaxation in like a simple terms. Mm-hmm. And it's something that manifests in the physical. It's how we experience life. Obviously, us as men, we're kind of more inclined to like masculine action at times, but then we also have a feminine side, which maybe some men are disconnected from. Yeah. And the same applies to women as well. So I feel like it's kind of two sides of the same coin that kind of make up a human being.
Yeah, the main thing that I see here is that how big of these terms are misunderstood. And especially from, like, for example, like for men, like the main thing that comes up is that how masculine energy can be like, just like, you gotta be a man. Doesn't mean that you're gonna cry. Like, you don't cry. You're a man. You should just step up and just and do the work and like that hustle that just comes in. Whereas for women, it's more like, don't speak. Stay where you just listen what you're being told and just be exactly like where you are right now and never express, never share and yeah, just stay quiet and just stay in your own shell. And this has been going on for a very, very long time in society. But yeah, so like I'm curious, like Masha, what is your perspective? Right. Around masculine, like what is masculine energy and what is feminine energy for you in your own experience?
So thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So I think I wouldn't phrase it as two sides of the same coin. I think it's kind of like yin and yang. I think that's what you meant with the coin. But So all of us, we do have the feminine and the masculine energy. And what masculine energy to me is the action. It's the logical, it's the doing, it's more an outward movement, right? Mm-hmm. So anything that is giving, conceptualizing, it's also, for me, masculine energy is also a lot with the mind, so not with the body kind of thing. So because the feminine for me is the body, is the feeling, is the receiving. So the feminine is like this direction, whereas the masculine is like outward direction. I think, for example, when you were saying that the feminine is like, oh, stay quiet, blah, blah, blah. So it's the lack of action. It's the letting things be done to us, letting things come to us, which can also have kind of like a negative side to the story, right? But the masculine is also it's the grounding, it's the safety, it's the presence. It can be silence. I think feminine can be movement and loud and expressive, and the masculine is the peaceful. I'm here, like I am is peaceful. I is peaceful. Now I am is almost like a masculine because wait, hold up. Now I'm getting confused. Anyways.
Wait, what?
Anyway, so it's the masculine is
The grounding and the peaceful.
Yeah.
That what you meant is essentially, yeah. I can imagine how like that stillness comes in, where it's more like that presence,
Yeah.
right? Where there's this stillness energy that can calm the chaotic version of everything that is going on in the world, and how that can be seen as masculine, and the feminine dynamic, which is the feminine energy that is more like that that everything that wants to express itself
Yeah.
and run in the way
I
that
like-
whatever it wants to run.
I like to also mention Shiva and Shakti concepts. So the masculine is the Shiva, and Shiva is, I kind of like to see it in a plane. I'm very visual, so I'm going to move a lot with my hands. But it's so, if masculine and feminine are on a horizontal plane, I say the Shiva and the Shakti are on the vertical. So you can be extra masculine and extra grounded Shiva. That's like basically like the silence. And the Shakti is the life force, right? So she's moving, she's active. And the feminine, like super flowy, messy, right? Chaotic. That's
Yeah.
the feminine sometimes. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, like the Shiva and the Shakti. To be honest, like I hear those terms a lot. I don't really know that much about them. Like that's like it's more like Shiva, Shakti. Like honestly, like I don't know which one is Shiva, which one is Shakti.
Yeah.
That just always like just
Well,
come
now
in.
you
Like,
know.
maybe it's like yeah, like the masculine, the grounded, the feminine, that all of that expression. So yeah, it's an interesting perspective, you know,
Yeah.
to look at that. So yeah, so what about you, Mariana? Like what do you believe is masculine energy for you, and what is feminine energy?
Okay, I would like to, well, very excited to be here also, sharing this with the three of you. I would like to address that more than what each one of it is. These are actually archetypes. So accordingly to Jung, is let's say a concept, a way of behaving, an idea that we inherited from our ancestors, and it's so in the subconscious of society. And I think it's very important that we always remember these, because these are dynamics, energies, polarities. There exist in micro and macro organisms. So within ourselves, within relationships, within society itself. And yes, I believe that more than a divisor, it is actually we can find balance when we unite both. I do resemble with all that you mentioned. I don't see, in my personal perspective, feminine being a lack of action, but it being more a very different type of action. Like the masculine, it's more focused, let's say more condensed. The feminine approach is wider. The feminine approach goes into more subtle terms. We are more on the emotional. The masculine is more on the practical, let's say. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can for sure, definitely. Like the main thing that comes up is that, like in every organism there is that masculine and feminine.
For sure.
Like I can see like how what you're saying, like how it can be in your own body, but also as a group, like how that group is operating, and how like maybe the whole group is operating in a feminine energy way, so everything is just like just like all the time it wants to express everything, and at the same time maybe like and it's interesting because like it looks from the outside the same as taking action, right? And it's like, wait, what? Like, is that what it is? But at the same time, when you look at like the like a group, for example, of men that are going into their masculine energy, what are they actually like? What does that look like most of the time, right? Because it can be argued that these people are just like, as an organism, they're like going ahead and they're just taking action, and they're just like, I don't know, like they're like wood, you know, with the wood stuff.
Yes,
the
yes.
Soren, you know,
Cave-
just,
cave.
the
Being
wood
the
thing.
forest,
You know, you just
carrying
like
the
yeah. You just use this like foresty vibe.
Yeah.
Or like warriors that just go to war and like these are like, oh, we're charging masculine energy.
But even
But
that can be
yeah.
done in a feminine way. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Imagine if you go into the woods and you do this. If you go into this charge with a feminine energy, you're gonna be like, oh, which tree? Oh, I'm not feeling this tree, not even this tree. You know, like you're gonna be like,
You're gonna
how do you
tap
think?
into
Am I gonna do like this
Right.
or am I gonna do like that? Right? A masculine are gonna be like, okay, guys, you're cutting, you're
This.
carrying, you're doing this, we're doing these trees. Like there's way more direction and like
we're not
structure.
and we're not really looking like in the masculine, like we're not really looking at the how is that tree gonna feel?
More than how
We're like these are KPIs, you know, these are
Is it
numbers.
really the right decision to do
Exactly.
this?
Like more than how the tree's gonna feel. It's more like what impact is that gonna have on the future generations of chopping the trees down. It's like that's. I feel like
Yeah.
when it comes
A
to
wider
the
angle.
masculine, just focusing purely on it, the key thing that we have to define is the difference between the wounded masculine and the healthy.
Yeah.
Because when we're approaching things from a space of like the healthy masculine, the healthy feminine, it's not like chaotic. I think you mentioned
Exactly.
it's like intuition and also like driving action that's not gonna like cause damage to like the world. And I feel
And
like that's where
yeah.
where we can head towards.
Yeah, and it seems like there's always that misconception about like when men wants to really take action, because a lot of the times what happens is because usually maybe the father figure was not really like in the family, or like they're alive, they're there, but they're not really there. Their
Right.
presence is not there. What tends to happen is that like the mother take that role. You know, the mother becomes the mother
Yes.
and the father, right? So when that happens, most of the time, what happens with boys, they get stuck in their head and they become passive and they dissociate from reality and they expect that their mother is going to do everything. And then what happens in their life, in everything what they're doing, they just their dating life is fucked, right? It's like it's like now they're projecting like mother insecurities on their partner all the time, and then she's feeling all of that emotion, and she's like, hey, like I'm not like I'm not your mother, like that's like the first thing that comes up. The second thing that comes up is that like the lack of direction, the lack of purpose, the lack of impact that is happening. But then when this boy is actually trying to go ahead and to step up and become a man, he just goes the other way around and becomes like, okay, I'm just finding my power now, so I'm just gonna go do whatever I want with it, So I'm just like, and like without thinking about anybody's emotions, without like, and then that's like where it becomes like guys that literally don't even see the pain that it's creating to the world, even though that at that point in their perspective, what they're looking at is like, hey, I'm doing good because I'm gaining power now. I feel that I'm in control. I feel that I have energy, right? But
Right.
But
without
it's actually
That's-
leaking the energy,
Yeah.
right?
It's the
Because
wounded
of
masculine. Yeah.
the lack of
Looking-
direction
And-
and focus.
yeah, and which bring back to the wounded masculine and what that organism can look like
Yes.
in a lot of societies and
Actually, we do live still. I feel we are going through a massive transformation in that, but we still live in a masculine society as in a global, and I feel it's no coincidence.
what's it? Wounded masculine, you mean?
Wounded. True, for sure.
Yeah.
But a society where the action is it's what it's valued the most, and it's no coincidence that our generation is starting to really come across to like, hey, actually, I might need to go a bit into the psychological, to my emotions, to the spiritual. I might actually need therapy, need to look inside so I can look better outside and have also a wider vision. So yeah, I feel we are going through that process, but we can actually see this still in the problems of actual society.
I wanted to add that the masculine and the wounded masculine, regardless, this over masculine energy is also present in women a lot. And like right now, I'm a big advocate about this issue, which is hyper-masculine like energy in women. And that is in turn creating the disbalance so that men then fall into the feminine because they're no longer even considered as leaders. They're not given a chance to lead. And like mothers were like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's not this way. And then we feel, I mean, it's nobody's fault in particular, but it's just the dynamic itself. The way that it's become is that women are taking more charge of, we have more possibilities, all this feminist talk. But then at the end of the day, we're really taking the feminine roles and the masculine roles, and then we're leaving men with pretty much no space to show up in a healthy way.
And the thing that comes up with that is that usually, it seems like what happens is that with women, it's basically, and you tell me like how you feel around that, and you as well, is that need to step into that masculine role is coming from the place of like, okay, I don't trust in your leadership anymore, so I want to take over, right? And then it's like afraid of losing control of seeing a man that want to step into leadership. So it becomes like this triggering. People think like, okay, like whoa, I'm giving up control now, but can you handle it? Can I actually actually follow through on this? Because it's like, it's kind of like this sense of abandonment process that happens that leads to eventually like, okay, I got this, and like I wanna step up. But what's your perspective on that? And starting.
Did you want to say something?
I felt you wanted to say.
I do feel as women, we have been kind of like doing that trajectory, but also again because actually we have been living for a few generations the wounded masculine projection in our society. So yes, we don't want to trust that leadership, but it's not that we don't want to trust the masculine. We want to be held by the masculine, but the way we have been shown in our past generations, our grandmas, our moms, it's not the healthy one. So we feel the need to take the lead. And again, you see this in macro and microorganisms. You see this as a society, and you see this in relationships also.
In the end of the day, the feminine can only flourish when the basic needs are met. And I think a lot of the society in general is still stuck in the place where we're still fighting for our needs to be met. We're still living paycheck to paycheck, where we need to worry, okay, am I going to have some food? Are my kids going to have some food? You start really entering into this logical providership mode. And I often think that motherhood actually is a lot more the masculine energy rather than like, okay, we nurture, but there is big attention on the safety. And if I feel like my man is not stepping up and telling me you're safe, everything's like I'm working with the safety, and how does this also is expressed is like, I need to see that you have a mission and you have a purpose, and it needs to come from you. I don't want you to tell me that you're doing it for me. You need to have a purpose and a mission for yourself. When I see a man that is passionate about his mission, then I'm already almost like safe around it, because I'm just like, oh wow, you have your life together. You know what you want for yourself. That means that I already don't have to think about you. And if I'm next to you, most likely I'm also going to be taken care of.
I feel like that's such a big point. For a lot of men, they kind of put women on this pedestal. And when they are around a woman, they're like, okay, she becomes the priority. And then they lose focus of their mission and their purpose to kind of focus on her. But then what you're saying is actually what draws you further apart. You feel like you can't trust his masculine if he's so focused on you instead of what he's there to provide and what he's supposed to offer.
This is so interesting that you're saying this. Can I just add something? Like,
this is good, by the way.
As a woman, I've really been there as with my wounded feminine. Of no, I need to be top priority one. If you don't give me that, I'm going somewhere else to get it. I've been there. It doesn't work.
Oh my God.
But also the feminine energy, it is also about this. We will challenge the masculine to see how focused on your mission you are. And we want to challenge you, and we want to receive like, hey, yes, you are a priority, but I'm not gonna focus on this because I know this is what is gonna allow me to actually put you also as a priority. And we want to feel that strength. I feel this is when the healthy feminine and masculine
And
starts
it doesn't
to
seem,
dance.
and it doesn't seem it happens like consciously, right? Like it's more like an automatic
No, at
response where it's like I
Right.
just like
It's very
you're just-
subtle things on
Yeah.
day-to-day life where, you know, it's also the way that your daily routines, how you carry yourself, what do you talk about, like all of these things, they all combine, you know, like, and they show us, because I think with our intuition, this feminine power that we have, it's like we're able to see, okay, are you slacking on yourself? Are you actually committed to yourself? Because for me, it's very important, like that my man, he is his first number one priority,
Yeah.
his connection to the universe, to God, whatever, his mission, then come me, then come the kids and everything else.
So-
because this will hold all the rest, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're disconnected from yourself, disconnected from the universe, this whole greater power and everything around you, and then you're just focused on, you know, like the rest, yeah, I don't feel safe.
Yeah. So to give some perspective on this, right? I've been helping growing like the biggest porn addiction coaching company in the world for men to help men stop watching porn. And I've spoken with thousands of men with this and over again. And the main thing that I look at is every time I jump on a call with someone and lust and this sensation of like this jerking off all the time to porn. And I'm gonna say corn, to jerking off to corn. It's essentially like leads to the guy to feeling a sense of indecisiveness, lack of purpose. I usually ask them questions over and over again. What is the question that they ask is, I don't know.
Yeah, you drain it all into the sock, you know, like it's all gone out of
It's
you.
like, I don't know. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's like, okay, well.
It's your life force energy you're letting out, just and you're in a cheap way as well.
Yeah.
So
And then like they would jump and it's like, yeah, I want to quit. And then it's like, but do you really want to quit? This has been happening for 15 years. You know, this is not like a
Right.
yesterday thing. You've been wanting to quit for a very long time. Like, are you actually like following through and committing on this? Like, if I told you that I was 200 kilos 10 years ago, and I told you that I wanted to lose weight and get in shape, and 10 years later, I'm still 200 kilos, and all I've done is look at all the best diet plans, best fitness programs, best like the best of the best, but I never actually went to the gym. Would you say that I really gave it my all and tried my hardest? No.
No.
Right? So like, and this is not like a knock on the head when I actually go ahead and say that to someone. But it's been 10 years. Like you've been wanting this for a while. This is not like something you just woke up one day and be like, oh, I want to quit, and like just recently.
Yeah.
You know, so then when I asked them, like, okay, so why haven't you done more? Why haven't you committed on your path of actually going ahead and quitting porn? Usually they're like, I don't know, or I don't, or I'm not sure. Like I was like, I feel the comfort in it. I feel that that's my default state. I don't feel like I want to step out of that identity and actually go, like, they wouldn't verbalize it like that. I'm kind of like sharing that right now, but that's like what they would feel. But then what's really like holding me back to transform and change is overthinking, constantly analyzing and over like researching all kinds of information that leaves them stuck in an analysis paralysis, thinking that one day they're going to have this one piece of information that they would want to have it bad enough that will lead them to actually go ahead and quit, but they never do, and they still stay stuck, and no action has been taken. Going back to what you were saying, masculine action, right? And getting into that.
I think
Yeah.
with this, I think you also have to ask them, by choosing corn and by choosing staying fat and by choosing all of this, how are you benefiting? That is one thing that I think whenever there is a change that needs to be done, I see it two ways. First, you need to really wait until you reach your rock bottom, until you're so fed up with yourself that you look yourself in a mirror and you say, okay, I am the problem. It's not this, that, you stop blaming other things like,
Yeah.
oh, well, my mom doesn't cook me this. Oh, there's no healthy shop next to my house. You have all these things, that you use as excuses. So first step is obviously quit that. But then second, why are you still choosing that? And for example, in regards to corn, then what kind of emotions are you experiencing? Like why are you seeking that, momentary explosion of joy and happiness, And you need to understand, how can I channel that into something else? And maybe how can I reward myself with like a little cheeky sesh, but only after I've reached my KPIs,
This is
Like,
exactly
connect these two kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bigger problem here, is that it's like these guys are using porn almost like a medication for a deeper problem. It's like they have this like deep wound, and most of them suffer like loneliness, or they suffer, a lack of purpose in their life. Like they just
Lack of confidence in
lack
yourself.
of confidence. They're kind of they've probably grown up without like a strong masculine father figure, like you said. They're probably raised by their mother, who doesn't really have the tools to give them like what a healthy masculine is. And in
example.
society, they're not taught like. Actually, they're taught that masculinity is bad. They've been shown by like a lot of the modern
Exactly.
feminism that it's like it's wrong to be a man.
exactly.
Which destroys the
I
boy.
wanted to.
Yeah, so I feel like they're just using the porn as like corn as a medication.
Yeah, in the end, you can understand why. You are feeding your hormonal body with good feelings.
Which
like
is already
all-
addicted to this
which
release over
exactly,
time.
and it comes from self gratification. You can already understand what you're gonna get with it.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives this feeling of you are reaching a goal. It gives you this feeling body-wise and which expands,
An
but it's
accomplishment, yeah.
actually one of the best examples of wounded and leaking masculine energy,
Yeah.
because you are doing this without direction. You are doing this without focus,
Intention.
without intention.
Like,
You
right intention.
are just doing it for nothing.
To
What-
fill
Well,
a
when
void.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
to
and
fill a
for
void.
nothing, yeah, and which is the escapism,
Yes.
escaping reality, right? Like,
Yeah.
like honestly, like women, you feel so much, like the level of emotions that you feel is like, so it's not even, there's no words for it, to be
A
honest.
blessing and a curse.
There's no word. It's like a satellite, like you look at it, and it's like,
Right.
it's like, shh. Like you can feel like the heart is like shining like a ball of like a fire that is just like emanating everywhere, and you can't just, it's just like, you just gotta like hold it, but with most guys, it's like literally like a heart that is rock, and there's like a wall in it, and it doesn't feel anything. There's nothing, and
Yeah.
it's like suffocated,
Right.
and
you don't know how to feel.
yeah, there's nothing of how to feel, right? So this is like usually from a lot of the time, from what I've experienced, is that like if I speak with men in my coaching, and I will speak them in a calm manner, and not with all men. Like there's a lot of men that have that open heart, and they resonate differently. So like, but with men that have that like closed heart, where it's like that wall is happening. Like I literally have to I literally have to be like on and like snap them out of reality. Like that's the only way to get out of it. That's like to pierce through that,
Yeah.
right? But that like doing that, one second, because doing that, I just love this. It's so good. This microphone is like perfect. It's just like, it's just really, really so good. And the mug, it's.
Good energy. Good energy.
But I mean, doing that, for example, to women, it's just like too intense, because it's already like a lot, It's already a lot of emotions, already a lot of feeling. Like it's more about just like holding. It's like I have a lot of energy. Like add on to that energy, it's just gonna go like crazy. Right? It's like I just like I need to chill. I need to like ice. But yeah, to Shani, wait, when you wanted to say.
No, just to add on to your point, because
Yeah.
what you said there is, I feel like the men that you're speaking to, they lack that farther direction. So you have to kind of give them that energy to wake them up and snap them up.
Yeah.
And they respond to it in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
they're lacking
it comes also like you're actually showing them a healthy a healthy masculine energy. And taking back what you said of they learned masculine energy can be bad. From society, because we've learned that when men do this or that, it's toxic, it's bad. And yes, it's important to understand it does shows also in wondered ways, but it can have the reverse effect in some men that are growing up. And I feel the relationship with Korn is also related to this. It's like, it's bad to be a man. It's bad to go after pleasure. So I need to do it hiding. I need to do it fast. I need to do it aggressively because I need to reach the goal fast. And yeah, I feel this is fed by that cycle of wounded masculine energy, and it ends up like feeding it more. It's a snowball in the end of
In regards to the closed heart, I actually think that's the lack of feminine energy in a man, because in order for you to feel the emotions, right, you need to understand that emotions is vulnerability, but there comes big courage, strength, and, you know, especially for a woman to see her man express emotions is a fucking turn on.
Yes.
It is like, oh my God, please tell me exactly the emotions you feel, you know? Because it's like, I can see that you're so in tune and you can distinguish anger, disappointment, sadness, and joy, you know? Like, it's not just like one, oh, I'm feeling something and it's uncomfortable, I don't even want to feel it, so I want to numb it down, right? There is beauty in discussing these things.
This, you know, one thing, this what you just mentioned, you just mentioned like a bomb right there. You just threw up a bomb, and it's like wow, really. Here's what it is. You said it actually a lack of feminine energy in the man that is having that closed heart. Ironically, that's how he is in his feminine and not in his masculine taking action. He's more dissociated from reality because he doesn't have that open heart.
Interesting.
So tapping into his emotions and feminine, driving him to actually step up into his masculine and hold space and understand. So that's like the realization that came up for me, and it was just like, for me it was just like, wow, that's like wow.
Right.
Because
tapping more into the feminine allows you to drive deeper into the masculine.
Yeah, because you find that balance, right? We all have possessed both energies, so it's all about finding that balance. And sometimes it means that you need to tap into your emotion to feel why are you in discomfort about this certain situation, which then gives you an idea to your masculine. Be like, oh, that's the solution, you know, that's
how
the
I'll
thing.
act.
But it's exactly like you said, it's a balance though, because I think if it's too far on the other side, where it's just too emotional all the time, then it's lacking that grounding and that balance as well.
So it's kind of like floating.
Indecisive, you know, like no structure.
I'm just going with the flow, you know, all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you want to do?
It's just life takes me away.
That must be so true.
I just flow. I drink, I eat, I live life. You get like some Italian or some Spanish guy with like the mustaches. Like, what are you doing in life? I eat, I drink, I live life.
But you know, that's also what you're saying now. It's almost the basic animalistic needs. I think in the time and age where right now we're no longer even focused on, you know, like upgrading our animalistic things, like, oh, I want to eat better, I want this. Like, nowadays we're in a different level where we want to connect on higher levels of consciousness, you know, like we want to discuss greater ideas. I heard this phrase that's like, we don't want to connect on genes, we want to connect on the genius, you know? So it's like, I want to connect with you on, like, not let's have 3 meals a day together, have sex and, you know, procreate and have kids. Nowadays, let's take it a step further. How can we aid each other in becoming our best selves, like reaching my fullest potential, you reach your fullest potential, and we're just helping each other like get into that. And that's where self-awareness and ability to connect both with our masculine and feminine energies. Am I speaking?
Yeah.
You're just like,
Yeah. So she's like, oh, wow, you know. Like,
I don't know, I'm just channeling at this point. But
I'm just like,
it's like, yeah, we're in a state where we don't just want to eat, drink, and fuck. We want to go deeper. You know, I want you to help me maybe balance or like add more my healthy masculine, or like maybe by you being in your grounded masculine, you're going to allow me to fall into my feminine so then I can reach like the state of consciousness that I haven't reached earlier. And for me, maybe being nurturing and like this softness, you know, like maybe I will by falling into my softness, I will allow you to fall into your masculine energy and help you reach, you know, like your fullest expression as a man. So
And
we're on this level now, you know, it's not just eat, fucking drink.
It's not survival instincts only, and this is what a lot of survival economies operate in, right? Which is eat, fuck,
Exactly.
procreate, build families, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, knowing you know, in Armenia, like Lebanon, like this is basically the life. Like this is this is like the survival. But like people
Right.
don't have that opening of self-actualization, and I believe you're also Russian,
Yeah.
right? And I'm curious on that. Like, how is your perspective from upbringing from a Russian family
Yeah.
into self-actualization and actually realizing that that like, because usually, like from my experience living in Armenia for 2 years, people from Russia tend to be really like, you know, following that like structure.
Yeah.
It's just you know,
Yeah.
eat, fuck, make money, procreate, get kids, grow and grow and grow
Yeah.
and
Right. So in my culture, I'm already about 7 years late to being married with kids. So I definitely do hear a lot of criticism in regards to that from my family. But in regards to the feminine masculine dynamic, I think even though Russia and like these Slavic countries, we have this, you know, like, you know, the woman is a wife, the man is the man of the house. In reality, it's actually the opposite. So you have these women that carry the households on their necks, and you have these men that only thing they do is like, you know, he goes,
Work.
does some work, you know, like not even like a mission. It's like, oh, I just need a job, you know, like, and I pay the bills. He gets home, beer, TV, football, life's good, you know, and then
Yeah.
here she is like doing everything. And I think that actually happens way more often than this healthy dynamic. But
that's what's happening.
That's a lot of society as
yeah,
well.
it's not just a Russian thing. I think
That's kind of what's seen as like a normal family setup,
yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
not a healthy relationship dynamic at
yeah,
all.
not at all.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting to say, and yeah, where it's like when the guy is only focusing on money, and they believe that this is the role that they need to do, and that's it, because that's what man has been raised on. It's like, okay, if I have physical safety for my family, I'm good. I'm doing my job as a man. I'm creating like this safety, and that's it. But completely forgetting that there's a whole world of emotional safety that comes in, and this is what has been like predominantly happening right now, when survival instincts are not like at like a danger where if you don't go for food right now, you're gonna die. It's not like that anymore. It's like now it's survival instincts. Like you get food, you get money, like you work, and it's like the physical safety is there, but the emotional safety, where is it? And it's missing, which is like all the time. Like,
And I'm sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt you, but this is also the transformational aspect of society that I think we are going through.
Yeah.
So we are going from this wanted masculine energy of just like the doing, and we're actually going a bit more on the feminine, on why are we doing this? How can we elevate? How can this project on a wider picture?
yeah, and talking about wider picture, about the eco village that you're doing, is what would you say like would be like your mission on that? I mean, one thing that comes up to me is like maybe Mariana wants to like create that eco village of people that gets like everybody's aware about self-actualize, like they're into their masculine feminine dynamic, and you have all
Actually,
the like
yes.
the dream people there.
It's very funny that you ask, because on my way here I was also thinking about this, and actually using these archetypes does work to explain a bit what I want to do. So the eco village idea started from a place after traveling the world. I got deeply sick to a point of really thinking I wouldn't be here anymore. And in my process, I started to have conscious of the hyper masculine way I was living my life until then. And I really started to tap into my feminine to actually guide my own healing, turning on my intuition of what I should put in my body, what should I follow to self-actualize. And it was a journey, an intense and complex journey that actually made me understand I would love to provide a space and tools for other people. Of course, I have a thing for women. I want to provide this for other women, but for people in general to tap into this and actually get that balance. So I see the Eco Village as a place of work, but fun. We will intensively do what we need to do, but in the end of the day, we're going to the sauna and we're going just relax. And then next
That's
morning,
amazing.
we are doing meditation all together. So I really want to create an environment that provides you all the tools you need to reach this balance within
That's
yourself.
great. So, I feel like that's amazing what you're creating. And what I'm seeing a lot as well in these conscious spaces is a lot of these spaces, no, maybe not just yours, are mainly directed for women. And women are kind of more into developing their consciousness. They're more open to these ways of opening themselves up. And funny, actually, yesterday I was sitting here with Jack Weaver, and he runs men's retreats. And he said one of the biggest problems is actually getting men interested in working on themselves in this way and opening themselves up for working on themselves, on their feminine energy, on masculinity as well. And I think in society today, for a lot of men, they're kind of pushed to the side. I knew my own experiences. Maybe I didn't share so much, but in my early 20s, I tried to kill myself. I went through a real dark time. And at that moment, it was the only thing that made logical sense. It was my life is going down a path that I don't really feel like is great, and there's nothing out there for me. And I feel like a lot of men go through that as well. And men commit suicide more than anything. And yet there isn't spaces for them to open up and really dive into it. They're kind of just told, just get on with it, or
Just be strong.
just
Don't
be
cry.
strong.
Go do what
basically.
you need to do.
And on the other side, I feel like the more and more women are kind of taking more responsibility in their life. They're creating eco villages like yourself. I feel like now there's probably for you, the amount of men who you would find up to your level is very small, because you're you need to be on your path. You need to be at my level, creating eco villages, and a lot of men aren't there. And maybe there's men that you might want to be in your life, but you're not doing anything with your life. How can I act? I feel like for women it's kind of weird, because the more you level up, it kind of reduces the amount of people who are the pool of who's in your life.
Oh,
who's
it's
possible.
such an interesting perspective
that's
you're
what I-
bringing. I can say it's something we actually discussed. Yes, we feel men are still a bit more asleep regarding this. But also, honestly, lately, and in the circles I've been participating into, I really do feel, and through men like you guys, I really do feel a massive masculine energy waking up to this and understanding that actually you can take leadership on helping us on this mission also. But this time you're going to do it on a balanced way. You're going to do it listening to us. You're going to do it tapping into your own pains and trauma and trying to heal it before you know how to lead and bring the direction and bring the force and the action. I think it's a process, and
is.
for us it's also easier to tap into that, because for us, I don't know if I should say this,
Open-hearted.
but for individuals with more feminine energy, it's actually easier to also take the lead and show that, hey, we need to do this.
You know why? Because, and that's my perspective on it, because you truly feel the other person in front of you, so your reason is very strong. your reason is not coming from a place of self-serving.
It doesn't come
It's
from
co-
logic.
Yeah.
It's a gut.
It's like I can't stay safe right now without making sure that this other person is feeling safe, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to do it. So like the thing for your side, it's like you feel like I'm all in right now.
Yeah.
So like you go all in. So that's how it actually steps into leadership. And I believe most men actually, that's their development journey to learn to actually be able to feel that will lead them to step up and actually go ahead and become someone trustworthy to lead, and actually where people can feel safe around him, instead of coming from a place of like the tyrant dictatorship
Yeah.
where it's like self-serving. No, like actually
But-
feeling into the person so much that there's like the body just moves.
I think that's it. And I feel like a lot of conversations that I've had have come to this conclusion, and it's the thing of being more connected to your body is the first step. And I think for a lot of men, the reason they go into like something like corn is because they're so disconnected from their body.
Yeah.
And we live in a society where we have to like be connected from the mind only, and that's the masculine presence. So the more we connect to our body, that will allow you to open up your heart, and then you can tap into
Yeah.
masculine energy
And how
from it.
and how do you feel from your I know it seems like you wanted to share something around this. So you want to go ahead and share that first? And then
Yeah, let
I'll
me
s-
just add
yeah,
one point,
yeah.
which is I think to be a leader and not a dictator, you need to be in consideration of other people. So that's one thing that I think men need to understand, is that consideration, which is something that women, like we, sometimes. How many times did we have this situation where just like, he went to do something and then didn't even think of us, and it hurts because like you didn't even consider your girlfriend when you went to do this. Like, how did you not bring me this? How did you not remind about like this consideration? Is the empathy, is the ability to think about, okay, how does the other person feel? And you need to be able to not just feel for yourself, but also be aware enough to feel for the other and see, okay, how can I do something that will add value to both of us?
Yeah. And-
As a leader.
And one thing, I'll circle back to that other thing later on. But to actually saying to what you're saying right now is, and most of the time it's unintentional for guys. It's like they're so in their mind and about themselves that they haven't even develop the capacity to just be like seeing it, or like they are trying and then they're like not like fully like being like, okay, like whoa, like we gotta like check this right now, but because like, there's always like me instead of like no, what about you, what about them, what's going on, and yeah, so that's like the development. But one thing I wanted to circle back to, Masha, is to what is your perspective from the last event that you did, right? And you've been holding the space for the whole people in the RIA experience, in the ecstatic dance. There was a breath work. There was a cacao ceremony. There was like a fire.
It was amazing.
There was like all of these events happening right now.
So great.
Thank you.
So what was your perspective? And what have you felt? So like a few things comes up here. So first is more like, how did you feel stepping into that role, into a space holder role?
Do we really want to open this box?
And number two is, how did you feel the environment and the energy between the people, right?
Okay.
From the
Right.
feminine and the masculine.
I guess this is a disclaimer. Things are about to get very personal here. So I'm okay to share with you my journey. I think the first question is very important. I think it will serve to women as well. In my personal career journey, I have found myself in environments that were not safe. I found myself surrounded with leaders that were very much self-centered and didn't know how to truly consider everybody else they were working with. So in my past, I was always in this fight or flight response, getting things done the fastest, the quickest way, like it had to be, I was very tense. And I've done events in the past, and yeah, I've always felt like things need to be done like ASAP now, rushing, pushing things, forcing things. If there's a program, I need everybody to move from one place to another in 5 minutes. If not, the program is going to be delayed. And I sense that even though here I am working, consciously becoming a self-aware woman, on practice, I fell back into the patterns of behavior from the past. And I wasn't really proud of that in myself, because here I am trying to create a space where, we're all self-aware and we're all allowing each other to take space as the true, authentic expressions of ourselves. But here I am still pushing and, being really masculine about the way that I was organizing this. So that's my reflection, where I was like, oh my God, I can actually shift my leadership style into something a bit more feminine, more inviting, rather than telling people what to do. I can invite them, not force them. I can just suggest, and I can be like, if you would like, then there's be a bit more soft with this. In the meantime, and at the same time, I had wonderful men that were also helping me to hold space, so that could actually take this position as, this grounding rock and saying like, okay, we're beginning. And my intention is to learn how to fall back and to trust and to delegate these things, to allow people to step up, as leaders, and like to co-create a space where we're all able to, be in the healthiest expressions of ourselves. And in regards to the dynamics, I think in spaces like that, because ecstatic dance is a wonderful ritual of connecting with your inner child, connecting with this playfulness, I think we're all in such relaxed environment that you don't actually see this tension, which usually is where you can actually see, your shadows. You can see, where you're unable to be, this authentic expression, right? So when I felt tension, that's when I became aware of my toxic patterns. But in a state of playfulness, we're all there to enjoy ourselves. So I think in that sense, you can actually see, I actually remember the beautiful dynamic. When you see a man and a woman dancing, I think there is just a beautiful moment when you can see a man holding space for you, and you do it, you open your arms, literally, like physically, and you hold us while we're just there, in a moment, we're so much more energetic and expressive, and you're just there safely holding us through this moment. And I think that is a wonderful, just amazing thing to experience on yourself and to witness as a part of this communal dance where men are holding women in a non-sexual, non-disturbing, all these nightclub way, let me go and grind myself next to you, No, you actually give us space. It's not getting closer, being close enough.
You reinforce the will of us wanting to express. You're there to receive it and to join the dance.
And the way that you receive it, you're not claiming it. It's not yours, but you would honor witnessing the beauty of the feminine dance, and you're holding it beautifully. And I think,
yes,
being
in that space, and it's beautiful to witness, and observe everything that she is, everything that you are, and in whatever way you're unfolding, and I believe like us men, we holding, observing that and grounding in presence as this is happening is just it's just
it's so magical. I feel like I definitely resonate with what you said there, because for me, I came from the whole experience of nightclubs, and then moving to the ecstatic dance experience at first was a massive culture shock. Where you come from a nightclub, it's like there's a certain, expectation, it's a certain, dynamic, and then you go to a space where people are free to be themselves and free to be open and dance and expressive. And then for me at first, it took a while to really kind of let a lot of things go that I was holding on to from the nightclub experiences from the whole going down that route.
How you should behave.
Yeah, just okay, I'm expected to be like this. I need to do that. I need to, be a certain way, or you got to act a certain way to be more attractive. And
I experienced the same thing. Like
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
like the first time I went to an ecstatic dance, I was a Chinese. I had like this culture shock. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I'm going crazy. I got so triggered.
Jumping around.
I'm like,
It is
right. I thought
triggering.
I'm
I
going
was
to a
triggered
festival,
so much.
like a proper festival, like a normal festival, like it's like a party or something. And the thing is, like, yeah, with like the party, like what tends to happen is that like it's all of that like status game comes in, and all of that, all of that claiming energy comes in all the time, and it's like, you know, like, and it's like coming from a completely different place. Whereas in the ecstatic, it's like each person is going into their own process, and they happen to being next to each other dancing, and then they enjoy each other presence, and they're going deep into their process together now, and it's like all this celebration of that process of like, and one thing, like when I went through that process, like the first time, I was like, I'm just like, I don't even know what's going on. Like,
Life will never be the same again.
Like my body, my mind, and then like at that time, like we went to camping, like we slept by the beach. And we slept. We didn't even put a tent or anything. Like we had tents. We literally lie down.
Funny,
We lie down under the stars in front of the beach, like and we just like literally like we're like in a love cuddle for like 5 people, and we were just
Beautiful.
and we just like and then we just like slept a little bit. Like Shani was snoring so much. Shani was like,
that
oh
wasn't
my
me.
God.
That wasn't me.
Oh my God, honestly. Like,
It was the other guy.
Yeah.
and
That was the music. That
he
was the
sleeps
music.
so fast. It's crazy, by the way.
I
He sleeps
find that so
he
much.
sleeps everywhere, you know?
I have fallen asleep in a car like easy.
we've spent enough time to know like
That's
like
such a gift, honestly.
like he sleeps everywhere and he doesn't let you sleep. Like honestly, like that time when we slept and like he was snoring all the time and I would just kick him and I was like and he was like, hey, what's going on? Nothing, man.
That's funny.
Just Shani being in his fullest expression.
Yeah, you know, it's like sometimes you gotta snore, you know.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
You know, it's just a short thought that crossed my mind when you were talking about the shock between the night and actually the ecstatic ambience. I was thinking on the feminine, mostly woman, and what I observe in myself and in my friends is also it's such a big shift in the way we actually enjoy the party. Because in the nightclubs, we are all actually coming from a very toxic behavior, way of acting. We have a lot of the wounded masculine there. So we
And the
feel...
wounded feminine, excuse me.
Exactly. And we activate the wounded feminine that needs to hide, that needs to overly protect herself,
Or
that
the
needs
opposite.
to be more rigid. What I observe in the ecstatic dance, it's also a shift on that. And because we are in an environment, we actually feel safe. We feel seen by more as a whole than just certain physical aspects, let's say. We actually embrace also in such a more graceful way the flirtiness and yes, I can go and I can dance with you and I can be here and flirt a little bit because I know you're gonna respect my limits, you're gonna respect my boundaries, and in the moment I want to turn away, that's all good. We are just sharing a beautiful moment here, and it's so beautiful to see this and the liberation of the feminine and the masculine in this environment.
And I feel like that's because of the actually creating that container, and that's like the masculine presence. It's like ecstatic dance actually creates the container for the feminine to flow.
Yes.
And
So-
and also like the main thing that I see here is that this for guys and for men, usually what happens is like there's this abundance and scarcity paradigm that operates in, right? Like the first one is like, hey, I'm coming from a place of, okay, I felt this connection and I felt good about it. So now I want to own it. I want to keep it because I haven't felt it before. So now I'm like gonna own it, and I'm gonna do like whatever it takes to like push through, and that feels unsafe
Yeah.
for women. And on the other side, where is that? No, I feel love inside. I feel intimate with my own self right now. But now if we actually go and become intimate together in this dance, and we go and we express and we go through and then it ends, and then you go on to do your own process, it's like we're good. You know? We're good. Like we're doing it like we're both good. We're both feeling intimate and open and loving, and then together it's like but without it it's like we're both good.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
because you've done the work and you're actually whole. Like you don't come into this dynamic, into this dance of life, of ecstatic dance, of relationship, whatever. You don't come into this dynamic, help me fill my void. You come and say like, let's play, let's have fun, let's see where this leads.
Let's
you know,
explore.
let's explore. Right? It's
Yeah.
so expectations are not
Yeah.
there, forcing isn't there. It's just like let's dance a little. Then you dance a little, and like. That's it. But if the connection was really there, you're gonna go and maybe
Dance
as
a bit
woman,
more.
yeah, as a woman, I would expect you to come, you know, like and maybe have a chat with me now, you know, like have
Right.
a show a bit more interest, right? Because I think sometimes in ecstatic environments, at least from what I've seen, it's like if we're all here dancing, then you feel the connection, but then I'm still gonna be in my feminine. I'll wait for you to come and talk to me, and then if you don't, it's just like. Okay, you know, but I think even as I hear myself saying that, here is the void. Is the void speaking, right? Even
Also.
if because, you know, like I am single, right? I am open to relationships. But
you
like
were whole as well. If you're whole as well, you're complete on masculine and feminine. So
yeah, but like
Yeah.
you
One
still
thing
want to be approaching it from the feminine and
yeah,
Yeah,
one-
exactly.
there.
Now, one thing that I want to also like point out here is that like even when that comes in, it's still gonna feel like sad, but it's a part of it,
Yeah.
right? Like I mean, otherwise it's just like a bunch of like spiritually woke non-feeling entities
Yeah.
that just like don't feel connection, and it's like, oh, we love each other, but if we don't love each other anymore, so we don't
Yeah.
care anymore. So that
Yeah,
it's
of
kind of
course.
like this not caring. It's of course there's gonna be emotion, of course there's gonna be the pain, right? But the difference is that pain gonna keep going and is gonna continue, or is that actually
Yeah, as
gonna
long as you don't identify and you don't create
Yeah.
like the next story, you know, like, oh,
Yeah.
they didn't come talk to me, that means I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy, I'm na. Like, stop at that, right?
Yeah.
It's just like you felt you shared a beautiful moment
Because as
it
a wounded
ended.
feminine, we also have the thing
Right.
of we really need or feel the need of this validation in that way.
Yeah.
If you are not putting action,
Yeah.
it's because I'm not worth enough.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a story we tell in many levels. And I feel like you raised an interesting point there. It's like about this maybe in some spaces where you elevate and go to a higher consciousness, then it does maybe lack the polarity, the connection that maybe at a lower paradigm is there because the man has like a lack of feminine energy and he's kind of seeking that outside of himself, and the women, they kind of just have that like chaotic way of being, that chaotic feminine, and that creates more sparks and attraction. But then maybe at a higher level, the sparks are different and it's more subtle, and it's about how do you cultivate that when it's not like this chaotic love that you see.
Yeah. Now, one more thing that I wanna point out here and mention and see your perspectives on this is going into that masculine role. What tends to happen when we talked about this claiming part, right? It kind of like leads to objectification. It makes the girls feel used, right? She's like the guy is like using the girl to go and like fill a void and like create that bond, a trauma bond, right? Which happens to feel very euphoric, and the girl's gonna love it in the beginning. But then when it's gone, I mean, of course there's gonna be like fear and all that stuff. But then like when that bond is done, it's like it feels good, and then separation happens, and then abandonment happens, and then it leads to being more self-actualized and being aware of these patterns, and then eventually leading to like seeing it for what this is actually happening, right? So this is where this is the interesting part that I want to discuss here is that like that's like, because in the conscious world, what tends to happen a lot of the time is that we want to develop and we want to come from unconditional love and we'll come from a place of presence. But what is a trauma bond that is actually going to create that euphoric feeling and it's kind of attractive, and whereas the other part, it's coming from a place of like, well, we don't want to touch that, and now there's no attraction, there's no polarity, and now we're friends, and now it's like the perfect like friendship, and like there's no like safety in that leadership, and that's like not an expectation to expecting any answer from you, but I just wanted to drop that right now because it's a big thing. It's a big thing.
It was, and
it's like there's
no, I think I can definitely relate to what you're saying there, because when I was going through my own process and I was probably more in the wounded masculine, I could tap into a side of myself where I could just like dive into that side of myself where maybe creating the trauma bond was easy and it was okay for me to live like that. And when I kind of developed more, I felt like, creating a trauma bond where I know it's possible. I can see, okay, we have similar traumas, but I don't want to be the one to create it, but maybe we can create and elevate together in a way. But
because to be honest, like the sex in trauma bond feels really good. You know, it's very euphoric.
Because
you're
fed by this polarity, but it's the wanted side of it. When you are
it's
fed by
because
this
you're lacking the
polarity.
emotional, right? The trauma bond sex feels so good. It's because you're so starved of the emotional connection that the bare breadcrumbs of the physical, it's like, wow. Amazing.
Right.
That's because the emotional wasn't there, right? And it's...
And that's until you try tantric sex. So
tantric sex. You guys, exactly. Appreciate the presence and the feminine. Cherish your heart. So everything that you want to learn into this podcast is in Up Level Men podcast is learn how to have tantric sex. Everything we're talking about, the Ria experience, the Echo Village, the whole village is going on a
Every
tantric
event
sex.
will end in a cuddle puddle.
And sleep at the beach, cuddle all around. And when you have that culture shock, when you went to the nightclub and you feel that you go to this ecstatic for the first time and you feel that head and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And like all of these emotions, you're getting triggered. Remember this. Tantric sex. But yeah, so...
And you know what? The tantric sex conversation, I think as women, we'll definitely appreciate a slower game way more than a faster game.
But way more. It's not even comparable.
Exactly.
And even if you put a little bit of spiciness more up ahead in the path, we want this. We want to feel also, because actually we want to feel the control and the self-control the man
exactly your
can
discipline.
have
If you
to
have the
provide for
discipline.
us.
I think the women appreciate the presence. So if you can provide more of that presence leading up to it, then it creates like a stronger connection. And tantric sex is actually just being fully present, whereas the trauma bond is like you're not fully there. You're just like in some other time. Maybe you're thinking of someone from 2 years ago when you're in that space.
You're experiencing that transcendental experience essentially with that, with yourself, but then with your partner, and you're going in together where like this like energy is just flowing through the whole cycle from the spine all the way her spine to your spine, and then going cycle in all together, merging with coconut oil and Himalayan salt and like merging it all together. You know, you put on some music and just like, get right into it. You know, like just like all so essentially like the whole point of what we're like talking about here is essentially like men that want to develop, that want to step it up, but at the same time understanding like how to open that heart, how to really like listen, how to expand and self-actualize, and to eventually not just like to develop and actually step up and express their authentic selves, but also to be able to become a leader that can be trusted, that a woman can actually fall into and feel safe in, and not let that be his priority, rather actually go ahead and follow his purpose and step into the direction where but also being able to cherish that moment and appreciate and come from a place of abundance and not let those like layers of attachment holds them back from tapping into of claiming and ownership, owning that. So that's the main part.
How do you get there? The
Yeah.
step one
Okay.
is presence.
It is, yeah.
Step one, it really is presence. And everything that you said, and in the beginning, in the middle of this conversation, I had this little moment. The reason why I'm sure we both feel safe is because you're actively listening. And the way that I know that you're actively listening is the eye contact and the occasional This goes a long while. Is a sign that I'm being listened, I'm seen, I'm like what I'm saying is like heard and like accepted, you know, like, and then you might even go like you're gonna be like and you're gonna go talk about something else. But I know that you did listen to me, you know, like and that's like a step one to really make, you know, like us feel safe, seen, and we're like, okay.
And I
Next.
feel like as a man, for me, one of the things that helped me the most to get to this point was actually desexualizing my brain and see women as humans. Because I feel like for men, we grow up where it's like with the corn, and in society, we just see women as like this object. It's like, okay, it's an object of desire, and you don't really want to like communicate or even listen to them. It's just like
It's
she's-
normal that, you know, I'm so attracted to you, like you're so pretty. So like I'm gonna let my sexual energy just like, you know, like
right.
it's not about
Just
that.
get
you know,
down
like,
with it.
there's-
But
yeah,
there's
exactly.
a difference between
Yeah.
like connecting on with the sexual energy, but then just not seeing them anything beyond that. And I feel like when you can listen to someone, you can hold
Yeah.
space for them and see them as a human.
Yeah.
And then that allows you to like actually have that deeper connection and conversation, and then it go down that path.
So yeah.
And-
So you wanted to share one more thing?
Just following your question, and for men that are trying to go on this path, the advice I usually give to men around me, that I think it's a practical advice and easy to follow. Empty your cup. Empty your cup, and communicate. Use this, but communicate with women. Ask questions. Don't make assumptions. The more questions you will do, the more information you will gather, and the more you will also be able to really tap into that within yourself.
Yeah.
So I would start by there.
Yeah, definitely being able to
really
be able
question.
to listen and actually not assume and be in your head, but actually observe and be present. But yeah, so yeah, we're just gonna wrap it up real quick. Any last so for you, Masha, starting there, like any last words you wanted to say for a man that is actually developing, they want to grow, they want to step it up, they want to get into that masculine energy. What would you say?
The first thing comes up is really take responsibility of where you are right now, and honesty and vulnerability. Like this is where I'm in. It doesn't mean that where you are right now is unworthy, unlovable, unable to get something, you know, like a relationship or career or whatever. You already have everything within you. It's brewing. Sometimes it's unconscious, sometimes it's subconscious, sometimes it's conscious. Really gather your point A, your starting point A, and really understand, okay, where do you want to be? You know, like what kind of relationship, what kind of dynamic? Like I'm very specific. I have lists for everything in my life. And I think the more specific you get with exact feelings of how you want to be as a leader, how do you want to be as a business owner, as a expert in your field, why do you, for example, like if you desire to be, what is it? Like an important figure in your field, you know, like why is that? Are you doing this for validation or because you're actually, you know, like
Driven.
super passionate about it and like there's an innate desire, you know, like I want to be the best at this, you know, like, and I think it is very masculine thing to thrive for that accomplishment, thrive for that, you know, and don't be afraid of that either, you know, like if this is something that you're doing is for the greater good of all, then it is the right thing to do, you know, like, so go with it, dive into it, you know, and carry that within you, right? And then just learn that presence, right? So as you are on the mission, know that the woman, what we want, how we are, everything is so different. I think actually one thing that the best thing advice that I've received from a book is to perceive men and women as entities from different planets.
Yeah.
If you just see us as so different and actually see it as, wow, let me explore this being. You know, how does she think? How does she feel? What are these emotions? Like, she's going through an emotion. Baby, what are you feeling? What is this? Is this anger or is this sadness? Don't assume if I'm sitting like this that it's his anger, man. Maybe I'm just joyful, but I'm with a resting bitch face. You know, like don't assume. It's a good one. So commit to yourself, presence, and way more. As such,
And
there's
explore
lists.
and explore the jungle. Explore the jungle and everything that she is.
Yes, indeed.
All right, Shani.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
firstly, I want to say everything what Masha said, that's it. It's perfect. And to add on to that, I feel like one thing that we started this discussion talking about, and I feel like it's so important, is for men to have a purpose, for them to have like a mission, a direction, something that's more than just, I'm going to make money, get a job, and, you know, survive. And it doesn't have to be like so grand, like you're going to change the world. It's just, your purpose can just be like, I'm going to help certain people in my community. I want to help my family. I want to do something. But it's something that's more than just yourself, something bigger than your own selfish needs. And it's like, as Masha said, also, it can't be just your woman. It can't just be like, my purpose is her. It's like something outside of you, outside of her, and something that can help elevate society, hopefully, but it doesn't have to be like so grand. So I think if men are connected to this mission, this purpose, that gives them the direction. And I feel like also having a group of men, having a community, being around other men who are also on this path is important, because a lot of men maybe feel disconnected. They feel like they're by themselves and it's just them. They don't have any friends. They don't have anybody to hang out with or like even talk to. So just being around other people and being the kind of person who like is a leader and wants to cultivate those connections in your life. So I think these are the most important things for me that have helped me. And yeah, basically everything she said as well.
Definitely. Community, purpose, stepping it up. Mariana, I know you already mentioned, but you wanted to add something to what you said earlier, or wanted to add something else?
Just they did it beautifully, but I think it's for someone that it's on an early stage on this path, and we don't mention this a lot, is it's very important to allow yourself to just be and observe yourself from the outside. Either it being the wounded self, either it being the healing. Because only when you actually allow yourself to be with no shame, and obviously with limits, we don't want anyone hurting other people, but only when you allow yourself to observe it from the outside, you can actually take full acknowledgement on the path you need to follow.
So, yeah, and this is it. This is where the ownership comes in. This is the responsibility comes in, the taking action, stepping into mission, stepping into purpose, being able to listen to women, like to actually understanding that there's like that there's so much, like it's not the same perspective as men as women are. Like women are literally like beings that are like radiating with energy and emotions and feelings, and they communicate it and they express it. So step it up, take ownership, take responsibility for your life. And yeah, if you want to watch more of these podcasts, we're going to be doing weekly, if not even like more than weekly, maybe like twice a week, 3 times a week. But yeah, so make sure to check the description below for all the other series that we're going to be uploading and the podcast. I'd also check out the dates of the live workshop that we're going to be hosting, the transformational events that we're going to be hosting, and all the details with the dates. So yeah. Thank you, Masha. Thank you, Shani. Thank you, Mariana. It was lovely. Glad to have you. So yeah, this is how we wrap up Up Level Men podcast episode number 3. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.